The Talk Shows family is Nomsa here at Ngosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, we have Angie Simmons and Kamal Aima. How are you guys?
Fabulous, thanks.
Wonderful, thanks.
Awesome, awesome. I'm sure the audience are happy to hear that you guys are awesome. So our topic today is Boost Your Health and Well-Being, the Ultimate Guide to Journaling. Angie, you chose this topic. Could you please explain this topic to our audience? Those who are feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and they just want to feel healthy. Could you please explain why you chose this topic and what was the motivation behind it?
Right, so the reason why I chose this topic and the motivation behind it was because it was the final piece of the jigsaw for me when I was on my own path of self-discovery, struggling in it for over 20 years with depression, anxiety, overwhelm, stress, all the normal things that a lot of people do struggle with. But what people don't realize is that, you know, that also affects your physical health. And for me personally, I had done ever so well for over 4 years, doing all the inner work that I've been doing. And it wasn't until 2018 when I lost my mum that I saw that true power, but knew I was missing something else. And I wasn't quite sure what it was, because at that particular time, obviously, I've just said that I lost my mum and I needed something to help me anchor down on the positive. I needed something to help me with how I was feeling, and enable me to get through a challenging time. But also when, you know, a loved one passes away, there's lots of things that you need to do, as well as doing your own stuff for your own life. So I, by accident, I started using my mum's diary just to keep a connection with her. And that's how it started. And I think a lot of people, when they think of journaling, think it's very overwhelming. Just to put that in perspective, how I started was writing maybe 3-4 sentences in the morning, same again at night, and just monitoring a couple of actions. I then decided that I needed something a little bit more to help, because I noticed such a difference in myself that I wasn't reacting to the situations that were going off around me. And I wasn't spiraling down into that, you know, pit that I'd lived in for such a long time. Yes, I know, you know, the inner work that I'd been doing made a massive part, you know, had a massive part in that. But the journaling, it helped me declutter my head, which a lot of us don't realize that when we're, you know, our thoughts, you know, we can go 3 days without water, 3 weeks without water and stuff like that. But you can't go 3 seconds without a thought that's going through your head. And we're not mindful of the stuff that we're actually telling ourselves. And 90% of the time, we're not very kind to ourselves. So when you're monitoring your thoughts, you can see what you're actually saying to yourself. And I noticed quickly that I was going down the spiral of, you know, things that were going wrong, and how the death of my mum was affecting me, how all the other situations from other people was affecting me. So it enabled me to steer in a different direction. So journaling not only declutters the brain, it does help with mental and emotional well-being. It helps you find the positive in chaos, and it helps you connect to yourself on a much deeper level. I started learning more about me than I ever had done. So for me, it's an absolutely incredible tool, and it's not taught. And I do believe that people need to understand and realize how much journaling can help them. So that's the reason why I chose the topic.
You're absolutely right, Angie. And it's interesting because, I mean, most coaches, we talk about journaling and writing down thoughts and writing down, and a lot of people decide to sometimes go with the journaling, sometimes even like dream journaling. That's also a thing that's fascinating if you're interested in understanding your dreams and your subconscious. And you've mentioned some of the most important points and I would say if we're talking, I've been in like completely in programs and stuff like that. So the features of journaling, the important points and factors, you've mentioned them all. You've mentioned the how it boosts your self-awareness and how it boosts your emotional intelligence, right? It allows you to go deeper into those emotions and write down those thoughts and have kind of like a consistency of understanding where you are, where you're going, what's happening with you when it comes to your emotional senses and your self-awareness. From a psychological perspective, you've touched on that as well, and it enhances your memory and your cognitive functions, actually. Not only just because you're writing, but you're making that combination of using your brain for these thoughts that are imagined, and then you're writing it down, and then you're consistently improving on those memories, because memories are there. We have all the memories that we were born with since day one. We just don't know how to access them, and journaling helps you access your memories, helps you write down things so that you keep remembering them. And fun fact, memory is just about repeating the story to yourself. And if you add details, if you remove details, that's when your memory gets distorted at a certain point, unless you repeat the same memory on and on, exactly how it was. You've spoken about mindfulness. It fosters mindfulness. It creates that sense of being present in the moment. And what happens when you're present in the moment? You reduce your stress. It's a practice that helps you in to enhance or promote your relaxation, to reduce stress, to create a space where your inner thoughts and your inner peace is present. And last but not least, you've spoken about setting goals, setting a new direction, achieving those goals. What are you doing now? What are the steps that you'll take? Where will you go? So all of these are things that you mentioned. And I think these are the most important factors that I'm sure both of us and Nomsa will talk about when it comes to, what are we talking about? Yeah. But yeah. No, Nomsa, where are you at with this?
Yeah, you're making me laugh. I like it, Angie, when you say when your mom passed, you actually needed something to do and you got yourself into journaling, and it helped you to declutter your mind and everything. That's 100% true. When you use your journal to actually write down your thoughts and your emotions, it makes you to be aware, like you said before, live in the present moment. Sometimes I read my journalings, I read my whatever I've written in my journal, and sometimes I'm like, is it me who wrote this or somebody else? Because my thoughts are somewhere else. But if I'm writing them down, I'm able to actually be in the present moment. And if I'm in the negative mood, then I can actually use my mind to actually direct me to where my life needs to be. So, and I like it where Kamal, when you said where you are going. When you use journaling, you'll be aware of your destination. And there are some people who are actually walking through like zombies. They have no clue where they are going. But if you write things down, you will be aware where you're going. Journaling and meditation to be in the present moment, because you need to focus. So meditating, it helps you to focus. Meditating, it helps you to stay connected within yourself. So that when your mind goes somewhere else, if you need to go south or north, you can redirect yourself and say, okay, I need to come back without blaming yourself. We are allowed to actually let our mind express themselves. But then we have to then come in and say, oh no, I don't want to think this way. Thank you very much, negativity, but I want to go that way. But when you write everything down, it's more like a self-communication. There are some things that people, they find it hard to communicate with the other people. But when you write it down, you can communicate with yourself and write things down. It's self-forgiveness. If there are things that you need to communicate with somebody, you can journal them and write it down and have a conversation with yourself. And imagine having a conversation with that person. So it's very, very powerful, journaling. Angie, thank you so much for choosing this topic. Over to you.
Brilliant. So I'm just writing my little notes because I love to write notes, because we have all those thoughts going around in our heads. And if we don't write notes, then we do forget. That's one of the reasons why, journaling, I heard years ago, better to have a shorter pencil than a longer memory. And I just thought, what the heck does that mean? Now I get it. I really do. So just want to touch on a couple of points. I loved how you mentioned dream journaling, Kamal. That's one thing that I have done for a very long time, way before I started proper journaling, so to speak. And it was my mum that taught me that many moons ago, that that your subconscious is actually trying to find the answers for you. And 90% of the time when we're in the busy ant mode, we don't see what's right in front of us. But when we actually, we're going to bed, a lot of people don't realize this does not shut off or we're dead. And what it's actually doing is trying to find the answers to what you want to achieve, or to a certain situation or problem. So I always write in my journal as soon as I wake up. Now, I found some stuff a while back that once you open your eyes, you lose a percentage of your dream. Within 5 minutes, you lose probably about, I think it was 70% or something like that. And I was like, oh, right. So yeah, my dream journal can look very interesting when I've got my eyes closed. So,
big chunk of it is lost, that's true.
Yeah, a little bit of scribble going off there, but I can get most of it out of there. And when you mention rereading the journaling, your journal nonsense, that's fantastic. We always need, to get the thoughts out of our heads, but then reflect backwards and have a look. And that is an incredible tool to show you how far you've come.
Absolutely.
And having a conversation with somebody else, love that. One of the things that I've done in the past and still do, because we all get into a moment where somebody's hurt us. I've been there. I'm 50. I've not got to where I am by somebody not hurting me. We all go through it. And what a lot of people do is they hold on to that. And why did they do this to me? Blah, 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 blah. One of the things that I started doing, and this was through journaling, start writing forgiveness letters. And I've got them. And wow. So if there's anybody out there that's actually listening to this and you feel like I'm talking to you about, you're holding on to something that somebody's done, seriously, don't underestimate writing a letter of forgiveness to that person. You don't need to send it. But I've written quite a few. I've saved them because every now and again, if I find myself going back on that spiral about that particular person, because they really, really hurt me, I go back and I read that forgiveness letter. And it's just like, let it go. And so I loved how you mentioned that. So I just wanted to pick on them points, to be fair. And journaling, like I say, it's such a powerful tool. And we've all mentioned that it helps you see who you are. And sometimes that can be a very scary thing. It can be a very hard thing to take on board. When I first started journaling, the stuff that I wrote, I've still got my journal, my mum's diary from 2018. And the stuff that I wrote, I was like, whoa. And the amount of times that I'm like, no, I don't want to journal. But it's the most powerful tool that I found to enable you to just move forward. And, like you said, Kamal, about your goals and your dreams. We've all got goals and dreams, but we get sidetracked by life and other people. So when we're monitoring what direction we're going in and whether we're actually trying to achieve that goal I've been doing this goal for 2 months. And then I'll read back in my journal. I'm like, have I taken any steps towards that goal for the past month? No, which enables me to then go, right, okay, refocus, get myself back, think about what I want to achieve, mainly why, which I love doing now when going 7 levels deep on your why, which means it's asking yourself the question 7 times. It sounds a bit thingy, but most of our answers come out of our head. But when you ask yourself 7 times, it then comes from the heart. So it's about me going back and looking and going, right, okay, why did I want to achieve that goal? Okay, let's get refocused and then get back on the same track, because, you know, there is so many different roads in life that we can get pulled into, somebody else's drama or something that's nice and shiny, instead of the one that, you know, the path that we said we wanted to achieve. And it's okay to get distracted a little bit if that's what you want to do. But with myself at the moment, I'm like, no, I don't want to get distracted from that. I want to get that done. So it's enabled me over the past 2 weeks to notice that I'm getting sidetracked by shiny things and drama, especially with my daughter at the moment. By the way, Nonsa. Oh, and Kamal, guess what's happened? Guess what happened?
She got the place?
She got into school. Yeah.
She got into Lipper. The other day we had some drama going off and she just happened to drop it out in conversation. I was driving. I was like, what? Then she went, yeah, I've got in. I was like, yes, because she's.
Oh, that's awesome, Angie. That's awesome. That's really awesome. I'm so pleased.
Thank you. But yeah, she's been so deflated. And I said to her was it last week? And I said to her, sweetheart, and, you know, and I was there, I listened to her, and, you know, I said to her, do you want me to give you advice, or do you just want me to listen? And she was like, I just want to rant. Can you just listen? And I was like, rant away, sweetheart. And then she did. And then eventually, and I says, are you okay now? She went, yeah. I says, do me a favor. And she went, what? I says, please journal all that. And she went,
I knew she was going to get a place the way she was going and being called back, Angie. That was a sign that she's normally the children that are annoying when they are applying for something is the ones that are good. they are annoying. They don't see how good they are. Honestly, they are really, really annoying. My daughter used to be like that, but I had some talks. I put notes in the front of her door, everywhere on the walls. Now she's more chilled, but they are annoying. Children who are smart, they are really, really annoying, honestly. Honestly.
Okay, for those that are listening, she doesn't mean annoying. I think it's more
not really annoying, but
they have that persistence in them.
Yeah, they are so good. I go on stage sometimes when I'm watching my children dancing. I watch other kids dancing as well. And those who are good, they come out miserable. When I'm watching the child on the stage, they are so amazing. I'm like, wow, this gives me peace. It gives me grace. And when I meet them and I'm like, oh, well done. Did you enjoy your dance? I don't think so. It wasn't good. They give me 20 reasons how it wasn't. I'm like, oh, God. Honestly, yeah, I knew when you kept telling me that your daughter, she's miserable, I was like, oh, she's one of them.
Oh, yeah. They find every single problem instead of actually looking at how far forward. Yeah. But yeah, her tutor got in touch with me yesterday. She was like, woo!
It's so amazing, Angie. It shows that all the driving you've been making, no more driving for you.
Oh, I don't know. But she then dropped the bombshell. Yeah, I need to think about it. And I was like, what? What do you mean you need to think about it? You've been like stressed out. I'm not going to say that word, but she's been so stressed out, and you've got through. You finally got it, and you want to think about it. Well, yeah, I really want to go to GSA. So yes, Nom, so you're right. She's one of those.
She's one of those.
But yeah, it like I say, going back onto the journaling, because of how she's been, I've been able to see how I've been feeling and reacting just by journaling. Whereas most of it I'd have forgot. So yeah.
It's wonderful. I think I think the benefits as well, I'd love to talk about the psychological benefits of it, because these are, they're so wonderful. And you've reaped those benefits through journaling because of that experience that you've had. And I mean, I'd love to tell you a story, but it would take too long to tell you a story. But I want you just to imagine a student, right, in college, in university, whatever you want to call it. And that student is juggling their schedule. They're struggling to remember important dates, exams, handovers, details for classes. And that student becomes overwhelmed. I mean, I've been there. I've been overwhelmed with studies, with with final dates, with this, and handling my kids. Where do I have to pick them up? Behind me here, there's a list of when they have their activities, and it gets to me. So overwhelmed. Imagine that happens to a student. If you're a student, I'm sure you're going through that. And if you're older and you've been through that phase, it must have happened, right? That constant flow of information, right? It's not easy. And so hop, one day you are here listening to us talking about journaling, and you hear what Nomsa's saying, you hear what Angie's saying, and you hear what I'm saying. And then hopefully this will ignite a need for it, or maybe a test, just to test it out, to see how it works. And this is what we are doing here, right? Because if you are that student, if you are a person that is going through this, journaling your thoughts every day, it will walk you through that experience. Exactly what Angie was talking about. Now, it helped her handle her daughter, her daughter's craziness, or annoyance, to pick up on Nomsa's words. And you will start noticing what you've learned in class as a student. You will start noticing what you've learned at work, what you're doing every day. You will start notice very tiny details of your life. And these details will help you remember other things. Not only those small details, but other things. Slowly, your memory will improve with every subject that you take in, with every discussion or thought that you have. So all of your memory will be enhanced just by writing, okay? And one day, out of nowhere, you will realize that, hey, wait, I know, I wrote about that. I experienced this, and you can share it with somebody else, and you'll be aware of what you're talking. You'll be not only aware of what you're talking about, you will be precise in what you are talking about. Whether it's in economics and you can't stand economics, whether it's in politics and you couldn't give a rat's behind about politics, you will remember the information. It will be there. So I'm hoping this tiny story would give you the inspiration, not only to those that haven't journaled, but those that are starting to journal, or the ones that want to continue journaling. Because this is a cognitive ability. This is your brain function. Your brain function and memory will improve drastically simply by writing down small things. Don't write the full day, like, I don't know, what did we used to call it? A diary?
Yeah, it's not like a diary.
It's not a diary. It's not, oh, I woke up this morning and then, oh, I felt bad because my toe was like ugly. No, just write bullet points about what important events happened that day. What did you learn? What did you get in as information? Who did you meet that impressed you? Who did you meet that told you something that was, that's something that I'd like to remember, right? This all, the pathways, your neurons, the pathways in your brain will start connecting. It will sparkle lights in your brain. The brain loves to be fed. So I hope this helps from that perspective. And that's I think this is what I wanted to share about the cognitive enhancement and the memory.
I love that, Kamal. I love the brain like to be fed. Yeah, I love it. You know, yeah, I love it. You know, Angie, I always say to my children, you got to chill out. I'm like, when you actually think about these things, yesterday I was asking her, how is it going preparing for GCSEs? And she goes, we're not talking about it. We're not having that conversation. I was like, okay, know that mom is praying for you. You'll be okay. So it's those children like they're just like, I don't know. And you know, the mind is a very, very funny mind. You have to have the gratitude of your mind as well. And that's why I'm teaching my daughter, I'm like, when you do things in life, every journey that you take, you can journal it, and you have to appreciate it. You have to have that gratitude, because if you do things and all you think about is not being enough, you just have to just be grateful for it. And now I can see her language. You know, these kids, Angie, they pretend not to hear the message, but they're hearing it anyway. So you just have to keep passing it anyway. Just say, I'm just saying it. It's like this. I'm just saying it. Just think positive. Yeah. Journal it. Your frustration, just journal everything. You know, it's like when Kamal says the mind needs to be fed. Yes, that is true. And also it needs to be appreciated as well. And if you are somebody who wants to live in this life, is a very, very stressful life. And if you are not doing any journaling and not doing anything, that means your mind is being decluttered by so many things. For me, I do my music, I meditate, I do lots of things with my mind. I fasted. I was so happy to hear Nick yesterday saying he's joined me. He's fasting, and he was like, Nomsa, you keep talking about fasting, so I'm doing it. And I think he's finishing tomorrow, actually, 48 hours. He's doing 48 hours. And he was like, I have never had so clear mind in my life. And I was like, now you see what I have to experience. Your mind is so clear. You journal things. I write things down as well. When whatever, but I don't write. I got up this morning, I did this. I just write my thoughts. Whatever is in my thoughts, the excitement, when my thoughts are not in a right place, I correct them, like to say, this is how I would like to think. I'm not a negative person. I don't want to think about this. That does not save me. But I have to thank the thoughts that brought that thoughts as well. I acknowledge you thoughts, but at the moment, you can't save me. So I'm just going to delete. Just delete, but you can't push them away. You can't push your thoughts away, because if you push them away, that means you are storing them for them to resurface later. And when they resurface, that's when you start thinking, being decluttered, and depression and all those things. And if you need a healthy mind, and also going for walks, it does help. When you go out for walks in the nature, the breathe and everything, just watching the green is so beautiful. It does help. And also, out of the noise, when you finish work, find a quiet place where you can actually communicate with yourself. It's like be in the present moment. Just that quiet place where you can just drift away and just be you. So those are the things that are important. And mostly, if you're somebody who doesn't know, who can't meditate, you have to learn how to meditate and release the everyday stress. And also, don't take problems personal. Problems are there to teach us something. They're there to give us skills. Can you imagine if I am the owner of the company who has never had any problems? What skills would I have? I wouldn't have any skills. So problems that comes into our way for us to actually solve, to build our skills. And that's why we need the journaling book to write down everything. And write it down. We don't focus on the negativity, by the way. We have to focus on things that are serving us. The negative, we can ban it. Like what Angel was saying, that you have to ask yourself questions, communicate, self-communications. Sometimes myself, if I feel that there's somebody, this person that has hurt me with their feelings, my feelings, or they've hurt me, they've communicated with me, or have hurt me, or they've moved away, and knowing that they have never apologized. So what I do is I write down the notes on my paper. I get a white plain paper, I write it down, and then I burn it. Once I burn it, I'm letting it go. I can never go back to that thoughts, because I know that it's no longer serving me anymore. And I have to make a promise to myself that I'm letting it go completely. And once you're letting it go, you have to release yourself and forgive yourself and just move on. Some people like to hold on, like, you know, he did this, she did that. What do you think, Angie?
Elsa, let it go, let it go. So I love that. And I have done that before as well. I've wrote letters, forgiveness letters, or something, you know, and then burnt them. So I have done that myself. So I loved that. And I loved how you mentioned the questions. So yeah, just going back again. So when we're talking, like Kamal mentioned, there is negativity, there's positivity out there. There's both. We have to feed the mind. What are you feeding yours? If you're not monitoring what you're thinking and how you're feeling, how do you know if you're focusing on the positive or the negative? So for me, the mind gets fed all the time by the radio, the news, Facebook, you know, social media. And when we're out shopping, we don't hear the subliminal stuff going off on the, you know, on the tannoy, but it's there. So we have to be very careful what we're feeding it. So the questions that I ask to help me anchor down on the positive. So my journal does not become a diary, because I must admit, when I first started doing it, it did become a little bit of a diary. And I was like, whoa, that's not what I want. It's to ask yourself, how am I feeling today? So you might, when you ask yourself, how am I feeling? How many people ask themselves, how am I feeling today? Not many people. I know I didn't before. So it's actually acknowledging you, your heart, and how you're feeling about your life. Now, if you're constantly writing negativity, that you're not feeling great and things aren't going, change it. You're not a tree. You can change it, but by writing down, you'll notice how you're feeling. And then before you go to bed, because a lot of people I know that, you know, do struggle mentally, I was one of them. You go to bed with all these thoughts going through your head. Oh, I haven't done that. And what about this? And blah, 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 blah. And then you can't get to sleep. And then you're tired the next day, which makes your mental and emotional well-being even worse. So before you go to bed, ask yourself, what am I happy and proud of today? That has been an absolute game changer for me. So asking yourself what's happened in your life, and it's one of the hardest questions. You know, when you've had one of those days, we all have them, when you want to go and eat worms somewhere, or you want to touch, do stuff that you're not supposed to. Asking yourself that question is an absolute game changer. I've done it before where I have had one of those days, and it could be something so small, and then next thing because I've been in a negative mindset, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and the entire day goes to crap. But actually, it's a thought, a couple of minutes that you've allowed your day to derail you. You've allowed to derail your day, sorry. So when you sit down at the end of the night and you ask yourself, what's made me happy and proud? It takes some time to do. But as I say, it's a game changer. It totally changes your mood. So when you go to bed feeling happy and proud. Guess what? You get to sleep really quickly. So that for me has been an absolute game changer. So it definitely is not a diary. It's all about your thoughts and your feelings. And as I said, just going back on what Kamal said about, what you're focusing on. Neurons that wire together, fire together. So if you are actually thinking about all the negativity, that's all you'll see. If you're focusing on the positivity, that's what you'll see. Over to you there, guys. I think
but you're absolutely right. You're talking about the gratitude and the positivity. I mean, I usually say that there's no...
Mo, hold on. Before you speak, Dev will say hello, wishing you blessings to you all. Blessings to you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks. You're talking about the gratitudes, and it's when you mentioned that one thing that happened during the day. Now, my mentor used to do something with us when we were in groups, and he would ask us every week or something, and he said, "Who's had a bad week?" And then one day can ruin the whole week of people. And that's what you're talking about, but you're even condensing it even more in just one day. But people say they've had a bad week because just one event happened. One single event, one single thing that didn't go the way that you wanted to go, because you're too arrogant to admit that you have zero control over life. As human beings, we are. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we are.
So that positivity and that gratitude that you're talking about in the journal, writing it down on a piece of paper, seeing it in the morning, feed that feeling, that sense of pride that you get, like, I've done this, I've managed something nice. That's a wonderful thing to do. Now, another thing that, oh, buggers, it's gone now. You mentioned something and it's gone. And of course, I forgot to note it down. But anyway, you know how you said, yeah, you were singing about Let It Go, the English version, right? And the other day, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I heard the French version, and the French version is so much more powerful. And I'm saying it in this way, it is so powerful. Instead of letting go, they're using two words, which is libérer, délivrer. Libérer is to liberate.
Mm.
And délivrer, to release.
Love it.
Oh, so it's just, and I wanted to say, you know what, the French version, it's 10 times better. And that is it. That is what you're doing by journaling. You're liberating your soul from everything that has happened in your day. You're liberating yourself from any pain, suffering, well, suffering is optional. You're liberating yourself from these thoughts that are causing you to be stuck with people, with events, with whatever it is. And you're releasing that energy outside. So I would definitely tell you, nah, not let it go. Liberate yourself.
I love it.
Liberate
and release.
Yeah, liberate and
Love
release.
that.
And for those that are listening that are French and that understand French, go and listen to the French version and compare it to the English version. I'm not saying that because I am French, but the French express themselves in a much more, I don't know, there is poetry in the way that French is expressed in the words, in lyrics of songs.
Yeah, it's more love, isn't there? A lot more love.
There's a lot of love. Yeah, the expressions are more loving. Anyway, back to what we were talking. Gratitude, positivity. Another thing that I wanted to clarify was the self-awareness and your emotional intelligence. We mentioned that you're having, was it you, Angie? You said no, Nomsa said you're talking with yourself, and then you picked it up. And then I wanted to point out something, and I constantly talk with myself and I speak to myself out loud in public. Do you know why? Because I get the best answers possible.
Well, it's just so you could scare people.
Well, that's another part. That's another part of the fun that I have with people. So, what's happening there? No, but no, that's true. You are your own sounding board. Listen to yourself. If you speak multiple languages, do it in multiple languages. That will enhance your cognitive functions as well. But your journaling is you bringing these thoughts, these ideas, that speech, putting it on paper, causing you to read it once more. It rebounds. And that's when you get that effect of, what the heck? Why is that happening? What did I do? So it will push that self-awareness even more and further. It will create that, it will let you recognize the emotional triggers that you have. Writing down an event, oh, today there was this situation and blah, 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 and I got angry when this person said, and then you read it, oh, this person said that. That got me angry. Why did this get me angry? Oh, it's because mama used to spank me when I used to say that. Whatever it is. But you will realize your triggers. And by understanding and realize what your triggers are, you will have emotional awareness. By having an emotional awareness, you will have emotional mastery. So these are my thoughts when it comes to, just to add on to what Angie was saying.
I like that, emotional mastery. Write that down as well.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful, Kamal. Liberate and release. I love that. And also you can use it to self-reflection and self-discovery. Because when you're journaling, actually, you're communicating yourself and you discover who you are as a person, and you will learn to actually connect with your values and your beliefs. And also it motivates you when you actually write down your feelings and your thoughts, and also it will help you to actually identify your thoughts and your weaknesses and your strength when you journal every day. And that's why I'm doing my confidence challenge, because I realize that there are some weaknesses within me, so I needed to deal with it. When somebody says something, if I work really, really hard and somebody says something negative, and I used to get annoyed. Yeah, I used to really, really get annoyed. And then I decided, you know what? When I saw Matthew's link to say get in touch, and I was like, let me get in touch and see how this is going to take me. And I love it because I journal my thoughts and my feelings, my journey. And it is amazing. And I can see my weaknesses. This is where my weaknesses are, these are my strengths, and I just work on my weaknesses without actually blaming myself, because we are actually look for the enemy outside, but the enemy is within us. So when you journal, you'll be able to rediscover the person that you are, that is unique. Instead of criticizing ourselves, so you're like, oh, do I need to go and do this? I don't think I'm cut out to do this. Or like your daughter Angie, she was criticizing herself, but you know what, deep down as a mother, you know she's awesome. You don't want to tell her that she's awesome because she
I do, she just don't listen.
So you don't want to tell her, and because she's not going to listen to you. So it's all those things that you just have to, it helps you, generally it helps you to rediscover who you are as a person. For me, I journal, I pray, I fast, and sometimes I discover things when I go back and read the things. I'm like, who wrote this? And I'm like, it's me. I don't recognize this person. So I'm like, oh, okay then. Okay then. So it's just, and then when you journal as well, you have to make promises to yourself. The things that you want to liberate, like Kamal says, liberate and release, let it go. The things that you want to let it go, you want to release, and why is important that you cannot go back to it, because we intend to go back to the past. Past is very exciting, but it bruise us, but we like to go back to it. So it's very, very important to make promises. And also, why is important that I shouldn't go back to the past? Why is important for me to be in the present moment and to move on with my lives? And like we are here, the three of us at Ngozi Talk Shows today, and we are all unique and we are all amazing. But you'll find that I can easily criticize myself. So when I'm doing my journaling, it helps me to rediscover who is Nomsa and where I'm going. Kamal says, be aware where you're going. So it's very, very important. Over to you, Angie.
So I'm just writing a little sticky note.
Liberate. I'll put it on my diary, liberate, and really.
Mine's there. It's something that I took off one of my coaches. She calls it the wall of brain. And yeah, that's what mine's clear at the moment. But at one point, all this was, well, there's a bit of blue tack everywhere. But yeah, it goes on the wall of brain. And then at least every time I sit at my computer, I can see it. It just keeps wanting to fall now, which is really annoying. So yeah, I'm pretty tough for that.
What is on the wall for me is the day I came to United Kingdom and the day I was born and my children's date of birth and their fathers and my pictures, because I need to speak life to the day I graduated and the day my passport came out, and I need to speak life to it so I can succeed. And so my career has a light in it. So I have things that are important in front of me that I can look at them and speak life to it.
Yeah, I do exactly the same. Pictures, there's pictures around to remind me all the stuff to be grateful for and everything like that. But then there's positive affirmations and things like that, just to remind me how far I've come. Because I think a lot of us don't realise how far we've come. And that's one of the beautiful things I love about journaling, is noticing how far you've come.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just incredible. I can't talk about journaling enough, to be fair. It's just like I say, my daughter, I remember the first time her boyfriend came here and he was like, what is that? Because obviously that's my journal and it's huge. You've seen the size of it, haven't you, Nomsa?
Yeah.
Year long undated. So it's like a hefty good book. And he says, what is that? And I was like, my journal. And he just sneered. And it was like, oh. And then that was it. She just, don't even start my mum on journaling. Get it, just move. And she made him move. Because I do. And every single, I think as well, just touching on this point, from when I've spoke to people, they think it's another thing to do. It's another thing to add to the to-do list. And that is quite frightening. Because when you think about it, it's not a to-do list. It's about being with you. That shouldn't be a to-do. It should be non-negotiable. We look after our cars, we look after our houses, we look after our pets, we look after our family, but then we don't look after ourselves. How does that work? So just wanted to touch on that point, because it's quite when I've talked to people about journaling, I ain't got time for that. It's just another thing for me to do.
It's funny, right? Nobody's got time to do anything apart from, and then you see others that are doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they have a job, and then they have a second job, and then they have a hobby, and then they have a third hobby, and then they have activities, and they still manage to do it all, and they still have time for themselves, and they still sit down and lay back and have fun and enjoy their time. But it really depends on the energy and that you're wasting, where you're wasting it, and how you're using that energy where you are. I know, Angie, you're going to be leaving soon. So
yes, I've got to shoot in 4 minutes.
Yeah, so go ahead and tell us, please, who are you and where can we reach you?
Who am I? So for those that are watching, my name's Angie Simmons. I'm a single mum from a mining town called Mansfield. I'm a single mum of an 18-year-old daughter and also my fur baby that keeps jumping around. Bless him, Pudding. I love nature, going away in my camper car called Olive with Puds. One of the other things I love doing is getting out in nature to journal. That, if you're a journaler and you've never done it in nature, I can't stress how incredible it is to do that. Anyway, I'm a personal development and mental wellness mentor. By turning my mental mess into my message, I help women over 35. I say women over 35, passionate women, driven women. They want, they find themselves a little bit stuck in life. They want to move in a certain direction. They're not quite sure how. I'm looking for the person that was me in 2014, that was working full-time for somebody else, struggling. I was angry, I was lost, I was sad, I felt stuck, and I knew I needed change, but I just didn't know how. I want those people, I want to help those people get themselves from stuck to unstoppable. So yeah, that is me. Oh, and where you can find me, Angie Simmons on LinkedIn. And you can also find me as Growth Development Foundation on Facebook or Instagram. And so, yeah, that's me. And I've got to shoot.
Angie. Well, I'm Kamal. What am I? Who am I? Well, I am an NLP trainer, master practitioner. I am also into psychology. I'm just finishing my master's, so I'm a psychologist. I'm hoping soon. What do? I'm also a karate instructor and an English teacher in high school as a second language. So you see, I have diverse things that I do. And so what do? I've combined the works of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and the wisdom of ancient Egyptian stories to unlock the potential of specifically mid-level managers, but not necessarily only them. So what do we create? We create a program together where you will have the foundation of a life of purpose, so that you can live every day, enjoying your life, doing what it is that you want, without feeling that your energy is being wasted or drained from you. You can reach me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and they're all with the same thing. It's Kamal Amer. You'll probably find a few, but once you find me, you'll see the rest. And you can reach me as well on my website, which is kamalamer.com. Over to you, Nomsa.
Thank you, Kamal. Me and Kamal, we're both psychology, but you're finishing this year, Kamal, aren't you? Your master's?
I'm just waiting for the results, hopefully after I do my oral.
Okay, I'm finishing, next year will be my last year, so I'm still...
I'll probably catch up to you because I'm considering doing a second one.
Second what?
A second master's.
I'm tired of studying. It's too much. I was on the website the other day, the university website, and I was like, okay, now I'm about to finish, but then the world is changing again. I need the skills to catch up because everything is going digital with the IA, artificial intelligence, and we might ignore it, but actually if things are changing. So I was like, on the website it says things are changing, students, make sure there's they've actually provided free courses for digital, so you can go and make sure that when you finish you're up to date. So I was like, oh, don't tell me that I need to do it. I don't have to actually say I can't do that, but it's got to be done because I need to catch up. Now everything going digital with clients is everything is going to have to, it's going to be computerized, everything. So might as well just get on with it. So as Kamal said, we bought the psychologist, and the psychologist, it's a very exciting subject, is it? Yeah, it's very exciting when you're doing some research and thinking about how our brain thinks and stuff. It's really amazing. And healthy well-being topic, Angie, thank you so much for this topic. For me, I'm your love harmonist, a matchmaker, you call it, but I call myself a love harmonist. Love is what I harmonize when I'm helping my clients at Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency. If you're single and looking for love, no games, you come to me, and we both of us, we sort things out. If you want to find your own voice and lead from within, you'll find me at Ngozi Talk Shows. That's where I hang out. Finding your voice and lead from within for love, Hope Springs. So if you are that kind of a person who wants to find their own voice, please do get in touch with, if you want to connect with Kamal and Angie, please, if you can't get a hold of them through their social media, and I'm sure they have emails as well on their social medias as well. If you can't get through to them and they're taking time, you can actually get in touch with me. I just smack their palms and say, please reply. And they'll reply straight away on speed dial. So yeah. You want to find your own voice, we're here to Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And please continue to journal. I'm right-handed, but when I'm journaling, I use my left hand. My left hand actually writes properly. Now, since I've decided, I've learned that from Bob Proctor. Journal with your left hand. Before it was really tough, but now I just sit there, I just write whatever I want to write on my journal, and it works. I never ever write my journal with my right hand side. So, and it does help because it helps me to understand that although we think we are right-handed, but we can use both, we can use practice things. God bless everyone and live with grace.